Okay, so I'm kind of more of a kind, caring, lighthearted, easygoing, kind of friend, peer. And I like to bring this into my profession as a physical educator. And I think this is important because I like to think that I can have fun, engage students into the content, but I also can be, I wouldn't say strict, but I like to make sure that we can have fun, but also be getting things done. Um, I like to make sure that everyone's trying their best. I like to think I'm not biased, so I'm always trying to, help the kid that maybe isn't as good at something as the other kids. I want to make sure that every kid is equal. They're getting all of the help that they need in order to be successful in my class. So teaching as an occupation versus being a professional, they're both very different. Teaching as an occupation is basically going up in front of a class, reading content from a paper, and teaching it to a class. And some people think that anyone can do this, which in that sense, that is true. So I believe that is the difference between occupation and professional, because professionals know this content to the best that they can. They have extensive preparation and knowledge of this content or whatever it is that they're teaching. And professionals are the best they can be. They're always continuously learning. They're have the beginning skills of a teacher, and they're a reflective practitioner. So that is the difference between occupation and teaching professional. So physical education is a learning process that focuses on knowledge, attitudes, behaviors in physical activity. And the reason that it's important that we emphasize the learning process and the definition of physical education is because physical education isn't about learning how to kick a ball or how to do a jumping jack, but it's about teaching students how to be active throughout their way of life and knowing how they can do this on their own and the importance of being active. And the knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors that I had explained in the definition are also known as the 3 domains of learning. They can go by psychomotor, cognitive, and affective. And these are important because physical education isn't just about the psychomotor, which is also the physical activity of physical education, so that is the running or jumping or kicking. So that stuff obviously is important because that's what's keeping you active. But another main aspect of physical education is cognitive. So it's about being able to understand why we are doing this activity, why it is important. We know how to run or jump, and it's, listing or identifying how to do these things. And affective is important because physical education also teaches things such as respect, teamwork, and that's kind of basically affective, which is the more feelings of physical education and what we are getting in the gym. So the definition of learning goes by the relatively permanent change in behavior. And it's important that we emphasize the permanent aspect in this definition because learning is how you want to keep knowledge and keep it for the rest of your life into adolescence, adulthood. So everything we learn during school should stick with you and stick with your behavior as you grow as a person. The main goal of physical education is to teach students how to live a lifestyle of healthful physical activity and the fun ways in which they can do this on their own. So my goal as a physical educator is to teach students in ways that different physical activity that they can choose on their own to enjoy for the rest of their lives. Everyone has different styles, different ways of physical activity, so I'd like to help them find what their type is. Savage inequalities have taught me that income in a school district can really much change the way that students learn. It can change the quality of how they learn, of what they learn, and this is because income buys textbook, income buys resources. And it can be argued that this might not be the case, that income doesn't matter. As long as you have a good teacher, your students can learn content. But good teaching can only go so far if you don't have updated resources or materials that you need to teach the information that needs to be taught. The relation between being active and having fun there's a fine line. They almost have to be equal. You find if you take a group of 6th grade students and you make them run a mile, no one's going to be happy about that. But if you take a group of 6th grade students and you have them play a game while also running as much as they would have in a mile, you find that you'll get a better outcome. The students will want to do this more while you're still getting the same exercise you need in these students as you maybe would have by doing a mile. So I think it's important that you have a nice balance of being active and also having fun at the same time. Okay, so the 4 no's of teaching include know yourself, know your students, know your content, and your pedagogy. Knowing yourself includes knowing how your style of teaching, your teaching philosophy, just how you are as a person, bringing that into your profession. And knowing your students include knowing, how your class learns, how your class acts, and, how you can deal with them yourself as a teacher. Know your content is important because you must know what you're teaching and you must know it well in order to get the students to learn this content. And know your pedagogy is knowing how to teach, knowing styles, knowing certain ways of getting your students to learn the content better.